one, that's why. This is way softer than that. Good morning. I'm Kelly Walker Hart. Please rise in body or spirit. We're going to start Come and Go With Me, number 1018 in the gray hymnal, or the words are up there. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound. There'll be freedom. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land where I'm bound. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land where I'm bound. There'll be justice. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice, and sing it like you mean it. There'll be justice in that land where I'm bound. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land. There'll be justice in that land where I'm bound. And of course singing. They'll be singing and start to look at each other. Singing. You know the words. Look at each other. Be singing in that land. Give them a smile. Bound. They'll be singing in that land. They'll be singing in that land. They'll be singing in that land where I'm bound. One more time, come and go with. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound. Please be seated, and I'd like to invite the children's choir up. Not all the kids, but the children's choir. Pretty cool for just 4 kids, huh?
You'd have to try not to be in a good mood after that. Welcome to Valley Unitarian Universalist congregation this morning. It's good to be with you. The opening words this morning are written by Marian Hatchin Cotter, who writes, "Welcome to this place of possibility. This is love's hearth, the home of hope, a refuge for minds in search of truth, unfolding, ever beautiful, ever strange. Here, compassion is our shelter, freedom from protection, from the storms of bigotry and hate. In this abode may we find comfort and courage. Here may our sight become vision, to see the unseen, to glimpse the good that is yet to be. Come, let us worship together." This morning, Jack Snyder is lighting our chalice. And Jack, we invite you forward as we read in unison our chalice lighting words. We kindle this flame, Jack, thank you very much. Well, it is a joy to be with you in worship this morning. We're always glad to welcome folks for whom it's their first or second time with us. And so if that's you, would you please stand if you can find the courage and you're able, so that we can welcome you more fully. We are so glad you've chosen to be with us this morning. As always, we have a lay pastoral care associate available after the service for anyone who needs a listening ear. This morning, that's Janet Cantley. Janet is right here. Janet will be available at the front of the service. If you're processing something, it'd be helpful to talk with someone about after service this morning. Well, today we welcome Roy Tatum into the pulpit, and I want to introduce Roy to you now. By the time he was 30 years old, Roy Tatum was a successful entrepreneur, motivational speaker, political activist, and community organizer. He grew up in Virginia Beach, Virginia, but he can be forgiven for that. He realized his responsibility to his community at an early age and decided to pursue political endeavors after he read the autobiography of Malcolm X at age 15. He became passionate about engaging underrepresented communities in political and social justice issues and helping them understand the power of the vote. While he was a student at Virginia State University, Roy turned his passion into action. In 1996, he worked with Rock the Vote to expand access to the ballot box by registering voters, where he learned the art of grassroots organizing. After receiving a degree in political science with a minor in history, he landed a job on Capitol Hill as a staffer for Senator Chuck Robb. In 2001, he began working on political campaigns, where he went from encouraging underrepresented communities to vote to helping leaders from those communities run for office. After he won several local races, he took his campaign strategies to presidential candidates. He served as the grassroots leader for Hampton Roads for Barack Obama in 2008, and as the Deputy Director for African American Outreach for Bernie Sanders in 2016. As a result of those experiences, he started his own consulting firm, Vanguard Strategies and Consulting, in 2016. With a personal passion to empower communities and address social justice issues, Roy has remained active with several community and civic organizations. He serves as president of the East Valley NAACP, leading a phenomenal team that is strengthening community relations with the police and implementing strategies to eliminate the school-to-prison pipeline in school districts. He serves as the state political chair for the Arizona State Conference of the NAACP. He also serves on several community boards. He's the chair of Sheriff Penzone's African American Advisory Committee and a member of Chandler Unified School District Diversity and Inclusion Advisory Board and the Census 2020 Complete Count Committee for the City of Tempe. As a lifetime member of the National Urban League, Roy was recognized as its top 10 young professional leaders at their 2017 National Convention. Roy lives right here in Chandler. In this month, in which our theme is truth, Roy will be delivering the sermon in this morning's service. and leading with some guests a forum on race in the valley at 1 p.m. right here. Hope you'll come back for that. Roy, my friend, it is an honor to have you with us this morning. Welcome to VUU.
And we get to sing again. Gentle, Angry People is actually, the real name of the song is Singing for Our Lives, written by Holly Near after the Harvey Milk shootings in the 1970s. It probably averted a riot. We are singing some different words than are exactly in the hymnal because these days she loves to sing all of us together, even though at the time when she sang Gay and Straight, it was probably the first time many people heard those words in a song or out loud. So it's very powerful. Please rise in body or spirit, number 170. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. All of us together. We are all of us together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are all of us together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. Gentle, loving. We are a gentle, loving people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a gentle, loving people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. Please be seated.
Our response to the call of love and justice is to give, and we give in a lot of ways. We give of our time, we give of our talents to this congregation and to our wider communities, and of course we give of our finances. And as we come this morning to receive the offering that funds the vision of love, service, and justice of this congregation, thank you as always for your generosity.
We invite the children to come forward with their offering and for time for all ages.
Good morning, all. So I have a little story for you today for the kids to kind of help you deal with some of the things that we hear about in the news that may be a little scary and the grown-ups don't always know how to react to it. So this is to help you help your parents. So when your grown-ups try to hide scary things from you, it's usually because they're scared too. Sometimes we can see things on TV that show us what's really going on, and the grown-ups want to kind of bury the truth because they want the kids to feel safe. Maybe the grown-ups say, "Our family is kind to everyone. We don't see color." But deep down, we all know color matters, and we all see it. Skin color makes a difference in how the world sees you and how you see the world. It makes a difference in how trouble seems to find you or just let you be. In stores, in cars, on sidewalks, your skin color affects the most ordinary daily experiences, including even which neighborhoods welcome you. Racism is a white person's problem, and we are all caught up in it, mostly by refusing to look at it. But we can face this. Understanding the truth takes courage. Especially a painful truth about our own people, our own families. Even people you love may behave in ways that show they think that they're the good ones. But the good news is, racism was not your idea. You don't have to defend it. You can bring your curiosity to learn about it and see what's true. Many white people did things they never should have done. Many other white people failed to see the problem with this. These choices put wealth and power into white hands and homes and neighborhoods. But some people did join the leaders of the Black liberation. Racism is still happening. It keeps changing, and it keeps being the same. And yet, just being here, alive in this moment, you have the chance to care about this, to connect. But connecting means being open, and sometimes opening can feel like breaking. Go with your instincts. Racial justice is possible, but only if we're honest with each other and ourselves. But you know what? History is not done being written. What do we want it to say?
What a powerful message, Marcy. Thank you. We're going to sing our kids out. Some come back in, and some go to the nursery. And it's a song from the civil rights movement that many of you know. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round. I'm gonna keep on a-walking, keep on a-talking, marching to that freedom land. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round. I'm gonna keep on a-walking, keep on a-talking, marching to that freedom land. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round. I'm gonna keep on a-walking, keep on a-talking, marching to that freedom land. May it be so. Please have a seat. Let's take a couple of deep breaths as we move into our centering time. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, slowly breathing out, reminding ourselves to take that quiet every week. We're going to be singing a song. It's called Finlandia, the tune. We have several different versions with the words. Today's version is We Would Be One, number 318 in the gray hymnal. After our words of prayer, after that, we're going to sing Spirit of Life, and I invite you to hum with me as I sing the Spanish, and then we'll sing the English together. That's a little later. Right now, 318. Be one as now we join in singing our hymn of love to pledge ourselves anew to that high cause of greater understanding of who we are and what in us is true. We would be one in living for each other to show to all a new community. We would be one in building for tomorrow a nobler world than we have known today. We would be one in searching for that meaning which binds our hearts and points us on our way. As one we pledge ourselves to greater service with love and justice Jesus, strive to make us free.
Please join me in a spirit of prayer. Great Spirit of life, we would be one. But let us not rush so quickly to oneness that we trample individuality. Let us not worship at the altar of compromise for the sake of compromise, calling it oneness when really it's just maintenance of the status quo. Instead, let us grow in our understanding and love of one another in all of our diversity. Let us be fierce defenders of all whose rights are denied, joining arms and fighting for the good and the right. And may there develop from that work a true oneness of purpose and of spirit. It's possible if we keep working. In these times, it may seem a long way off. We are surrounded by news of division, of hatred, even the rise of hate groups and acts of hate. But it need not always be this way. In many ways, it's up to us. So let us be faithful to the call of justice, truth, of true oneness. May it be so. Amen.
Please hum with me. Fuente de amor, ven hacia mí y al corazón cántale tu compasión. Sopla al volar, sube en la mar, hasta moldear la justicia de la vida. Arraigame, libérame, fuente de amor, ven a mí, Spirit of life, Spirit of life, come unto me, sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots
I will say the delivery of the word to the children could have been the sermon. Probably should have been the sermon. And should be the sermon more consistently. And I believe, especially as we have just concluded Black History Month for 2019, that the message around Black history should not just be for Black people. For most of us, as Black people, we already know it. However, for whatever reason, in our schools and in our institutions and in our universities, many have not understood the value, I'll say, of teaching, I would say, a comprehensive history of our country, which includes Black history, Black people, Native people, and people of different backgrounds and origins. But in this case, I will speak about Black people. And as I'm talking about Black people, I want to be clear. We are discussing those in America that were brought to America, not of their own free will. And that's a tough history to discuss in a more politically correct, sensitive, I don't want to be offensive time, when just a few hundred years ago, it was commonplace for many, especially in the South, to not even regard Black people as human beings. So when Reverend Andy asked me to speak and share with you all in the congregation, I was like, "You sure?" I was like, "I've been to your church. I don't know. Are they ready? Can you've heard me talk, and I'm honored to have the opportunity to share, because I believe that these kind of conversations are long overdue. 2019, we're still struggling in America around the issue of race. Regardless if you want to accept it or reject it or argue it, the number one issue that comes up, whether it's around the politics, political punditry, in our education, in health, policing, law enforcement, criminal, is race. We have to ask why. One, I believe we've never truly dealt with it as a nation. We've kicked the can down the road. We've, tried to push it to the side. We've shoved it under the rug. For the kids, when your parents say you clean your room and you just shove everything under the bed or in the closet, you say, "My room's clean," and you open the door and everything falls out. Because we haven't dealt with it. So Reverend Andy asked me, what would you like to talk about? Now, I had to think about it. I had to meditate on it. I had to pray on it. And what kept coming up is I thought about Reverend Barber out of North Carolina, who's reviving Martin Luther King's Poor People's Campaign. And he started an organization called Repairers of the Breach. And basically he started what he calls Moral Mondays. and he's delivering messages of faith to institutions about their moral responsibility to our society. So I thought about that, and I said, my conversation today will be repairing the breach. And before I even get into that, I want to just make sure that we're clear on definition. Because repair, I went to the dictionary, and I looked up repair, and I realized that repair can be used as a verb and a noun. Think about that. A verb, I mean, it can mean two different things. It can be a word of action, or it can be a word to describe something. So let me give you the verb definition of repair. Fix, to fix, mend. Or number two, working order, put in working order, make good as new, patch up, back together, overhaul, service, renovate, recondition, rehabilitate, rebuild, reconstruct, refit, adjust, regulate. Some other examples on it: make good, by fixing or repairing it, an operation to repair, rectify, correct, right, make up, make amends, make reparation for, compensate for she sought to repair the wrong she had done. Put right, a damaged relationship or unwelcome situation. The new government moved quickly to repair relations with the USA. Put, set, right. Put to rights, patch up, mend, fix, sort. These are all in the dictionary. Better, improve, right, heal, cure, remedy, retrieve. What are the antonyms of repair? Wreck, worsen, destroy. Noun version of repair: the action of fixing or mending something. The truck was beyond repair. Breach. What's a breach? You may say, well, I think I know what a breach is, but let's talk about a breach. An act of breaking or failing to observe a law, agreement, or code of conduct, a breach of confidence. Synonyms: contravention, violation, breaking, non-observance, infringement, transgression, neglect, dereliction. A gap in a wall, barrier, or defense, especially one made by an attacking army. Synonyms: break, rupture, split, crack, fracture, rent, rift. Verb of breach: make a gap in, break through. The river breached its bank. Synonyms: break, burst, rupture, force itself through, split, informal bust. The river breached its bank. So we're talking about repairing the breach. Let's think about this. When you want something repaired, who's responsible? Who is it the person that broke it? Is that person responsible for the repair? Is it the person that has the means to repair responsible to repair? Or is it the person that would benefit the most responsible for repairing? I mean, I think about it like this. If you had a older vehicle, for any 16-year-olds here able to drive, or anybody have 16-year-olds able to drive, right? So if you have a vehicle in the car and they want to drive and they want the car, let's just say the car's been sitting there and it's not, up to par. You don't want it on the road. You don't know if it will be safe, but they want to drive. But the car's not working. Whose responsibility is it to fix it? They could be resourceful, ingenuitive, and read books, go on YouTube, right? Try to do it themselves, and we probably know what happens when you try to do it yourself. But you probably want to, and if you say, well, we'll get to it. By the time that 16-year-old they're tinkering, they may end up doing more harm than good. One, because they're a child. Two, because they're anxious. They're thinking about the end result. They're thinking, I got to get. But as the parent, you may be neglecting. You may have neglected that car. You know what's wrong with the car, but the teenager doesn't know. They just want to drive. Well, as I read that, I thought about an incident, and if my cousins ever hear this, they'll kill me. But growing up in Virginia, I was a bit of a rambunctious kid. Was the kid that ran in the house, slammed the door, went straight to the refrigerator, So it was constant, don't run in the house, don't do this, or don't mess up something. So I was constantly being disciplined, I'll say, especially by my grandparents when you were in their house. So I kind of developed that reputation in the family. But there was one day that I was not at Grandma's house. And my cousins, I got a call that two of my cousins, two of my grandma's favorites, were in trouble. And I was like, what happened? And it's like, Grandma is mad. She's upset. She beat my two cousins. I was like, what? What happened? They were running in the house. And my grandma had this vase or this statue. It was this woman like holding water. It was porcelain. She loved it, right? They ran in the house. They knocked it over and shattered the statue. Now, granted, at that time when I heard what happened, I laughed. But my grandmother she told them not to run in the house. I know she told them not to run in the house like she told me not to run in the house. But because they broke the rules, they broke the statute, she penalized them immediately. Now, she could never get the statue back. It was beyond repair, right? So when we talk about, but I guess, she exacted the penalty for breaking the rules that she laid and also breaking her statute. All right. They couldn't pay for it, right? Kids couldn't pay for it. Maybe my uncles and aunts came together and compensated Grandma for the broken statue. I doubt it. But I knew that she was upset. And, oh boy, I couldn't wait to see them the next time the family got together, because I was usually the one that consistently was penalized. But I lost that title after that. I lost that title. So when we talk about repairing, sometimes we find ourselves in situations or in certain instances where we've broken something beyond repair. So all we can do is try to understand. And I know because my grandmother loved my cousins, she forgave them. It's not like they didn't eat anymore. It's not like they couldn't come over the house anymore. But she was upset. And I'm sure you can think about a time where someone's done something to you and you feel that they should pay for that or compensate you in some way, shape, form, or fashion. That's why small claims courts are full all the time. That's why we turn them into court shows now, right? The People's Court, Judge Judy, Joe Wapner. Remember that? All these court shows, because people feel that, hey, you did something to me, you should compensate me. You should owe me something. Well, now here's the hard part. That America has not yet wanted to deal with. Because from 1619 to 1865, which is 246 years, America benefited itself and became a world superpower based on the free labor of the descendants of captured Africans. I don't want to just say slaves. I want to be careful to not just say slaves, because many people will say slaves built America. Okay. Enslaved Africans built America. Because what is a slave? Just by slave alone, there's a difference. And yes, slavery was out throughout the free world, or throughout the world. This is different. Slavery, and we'll talk about this. I won't have time to get into all this today, but we'll talk about this a little later. Slavery in America was different than any other slavery that the Romans had, or that the Egyptians had, or even the Europeans practiced in Europe. Slavery was different in America. And so we'll go into that. But I want to say, I just want to go by the numbers. I don't want to get too caught up in race or black and white, but just by the numbers. 246 years. I just want to share something with you. It said, by calculating, in the case of black Americans, the wrong that needs to be repaired is 250 years of slavery, 90 years of Jim Crow, 60 years of separate but equal, 35 years of racist housing policies for African Americans. By calculating the number of all men, women, children enslaved in America, in the United States, worked from 1776, multiply the average wage price at the time, and finally assessing a compounding interest of 3% per year to overcompensate for inflation over the last over 200 years, the most fiscally fair estimate to date of what reparations for slavery could cost is between $5.9 trillion to $14.2 trillion. I just want people to understand that, just the numbers, just the economic impacts alone. In the 19th century, there was over 1 billion pounds of cotton picked and exported from America. Over 1 billion pounds. We're just talking about cotton. We're not talking about rice. We're not talking about tobacco. We're not talking about corn. We're not talking about wheat. We're not talking about any other crop. We're just talking about cotton. Created king cotton. For those that have heard the terms king cotton. That's why, because it is what propelled America's economic power throughout the world, picked at the hands of free labor. And any business owners here? If any business owner, you know your number one expense is labor costs. If you were able to run a business and didn't have to pay anybody, yeah, you take turns being on the cover of Forbes magazine, right? But with America having 246 years of the ability to produce crops, ship crops, import crops, manufacture goods and services and sell them abroad or to each other, created an amazing economic superpower here in America. So who's responsible? Those that were enslaved now are gone, and those that were enslavers are gone. But the system still in place. Many of us say we want America to be what America should be. Many of us say we want America to be great. Many of us say that. But why is it not great? Why? What's preventing it from being great or being who it could be, who she could be? Are we the parent of the car where the 16-year-old wants to drive, but we've neglected it? And we're trying to fix it. We're trying to tinker with it, right? We're trying to tinker with America. We're saying this policy or this politician, this is the person that we need, and, you know, we're trying. I mean, just now in 2018, the federal government just mandated lynching as a federal crime. 2018. In 2019, you at least have 3 to 4 political candidates talking about reparations, which 4 years ago, you would have automatically been out of the race in a political campaign if you even entertained the concept of reparations. If Barack Obama would have said he was open to reparations, he would have never been the president. If he said, I'm open to reparations, that wouldn't have happened. And many in America knew that. But what's happened now? Why is it a shift? I believe there's some spiritual things at play, in my honest opinion. For those that will understand, in the book of Genesis, there was a passage where God told Abraham, he said, know for a surety that your seed will be in the land that is not theirs, and they will be servants of that land for 400 years. Many people believe that passage applies to over 2,000 years ago. However, this is just me, so when 1619, 2019, 400 years. And at the beginning of February, to see the governor of Virginia, to see the lieutenant governor of Virginia, to see the attorney general of Virginia, the top branches of the government of Virginia, all in turmoil, all in trouble, all in the spotlight. Remember, the first Africans were brought to the shores of Jamestown, Virginia in 1619. 400 years. What I'm saying is there's a reckoning that will take place, whether you like it or not. Whether you like it or not. So to where, and I'm from Virginia, and I know these people. I know a lot of these people personally. And to see what's happening in Virginia right now, and to see people's response to the issues of blackface, to see the response to the issues of the Ku Klux Klan, the realities that were existing in our country, no longer can we just shove things in the closet. That closet's full. You open the door, you can't push that stuff back in there. It's out there. People are going through yearbooks and magazines and articles from all over the place. Even here in Arizona, we've uncovered many, many things with people in positions. So lynching just became a federal hate crime because lynching became the primary tool of intimidation after post-Civil War. So from 1865 to 1965, there were over 4,000 recorded lynchings. 4,000. 1909, the NAACP was established just to combat lynching. And some people may say, well, Roy, you're giving a good social justice, lecture in regards to, America and reparations and social justice or social advocacy in regards to the history of America. But are there any spiritual texts or any spiritual references to this? And there are. There was established what was called Jubilee laws. For those that are familiar, in the book of Leviticus, chapter 25, 8 through 55, the Egyptians and the Israelites established a series of laws called Jubilee laws, which were designed to prevent any future generations of Israelites from becoming slaves. The Jubilee laws stated that for every 50 years, someone would blow a horn, and everyone who was working as an indentured servant or slave due to a debt were to be freed. And all the land that had been bought and or sold over the last 50 years was returned to its original owners. Let me talk about land real quick. At the conclusion of the Civil War, William T. Sherman developed what was called Prop 15. Prop 15 is what established 40 acres and a mule for the newly freed slave. Well, upon the assassination of President Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Johnson takes on the presidency, and he vetoes and overrides Proposition 15. But he does believe in reparation. He pays reparation to Southern landowners and plantation owners for their loss in wages due or loss in income due to losing the Civil War and losing the ability to enslave people anymore. So reparations have been paid in America. So it's happened. But unfortunately, we've seen one community, particularly the African American community, not see any compensation for the work that they've done. Jesus speaks on Jubilee year as well in one of his first community meetings, right? Jesus said, "The Spirit of the Lord is on me because he has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners and recovery of sight for the blind, to set the oppressed free, to proclaim the year of our Lord's favor." In the book of Isaiah, chapter 61. Jesus is talking about freedom and justice. And as we hear to sing the song, a justice believing people, a freedom loving people, you've got to, this has to be action. There has to be action now. So here's where the verb of repair comes in. You can't just say that should happen. No, we got to work to make it happen. Well, in my conclusion, I will say that we should all establish what our life goals are. I'll just share with you my life goal. My life goal is to pretty much leave people, places, and the planet a little better than the way I found it. And in that, I believe it's important to share the truth of my ancestors, those that came before me. I do my best to honor them by telling their stories. To my grandmother 30 years ago would have told you that I was going to be a preacher. I'm telling you, my grandmother would have said that. I probably ran from that so fast. And if she were alive, she'd probably be very proud. And so I say that because she always wanted to do stuff for people. My grandmother was the kind of person that would take food out of her refrigerator to take it to a neighbor that just lost a job. And I'm like, where are you going with the food? She was the kind of person that would make sure that someone got to where they needed to be, whether it was a job or whether it was school, and she barely had gas in her car. So by example, even when she didn't have, she was willing to do for others. So I can't help but do that with my voice and with our actions. And so I have a poem that I want to share. So any young people, if you know a poem, if you don't know a poem, you're about to know a poem today for my young people. I want to help you because when they say, do you know a poem? You can say, yes, I know a poem. And Muhammad Ali, invented probably the shortest poem known to the world. But it's profound when you think about it. Muhammad Ali's poem was me, we. That was it. Me, we. Unfortunately, we have too many me people in society today. But for our young people, and I really want the young people to get this, because we're about to turn this call over to you. And it's got to be me, we, if we're going to get anywhere. So thank you all for allowing me to share, and I hope that I didn't put you to sleep. I hope I gave you some good things to think about. And I hope you learned the poem, me, we. Thank you.
Please rise in body or spirit, number 149 in the gray hymnal. Words will be up here. Great dignity in this song. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harp. Liberty, let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, in the hastening rock. Born had died, come to the place for which our fathers died. We have come over a way with the tears had been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out from the gloomy past till we stand at last is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray, lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee. Our hearts drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadow beneath thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land.
That's the national anthem. Did you know that? Yeah. All right.
Also the official song of the NAACP.
Will you join me in reciting together the words with which we extinguish our chalice? Though we extinguish the chalice, our connection to each other in this community remains. May its light guide us this week as we walk the path of justice, speak words of love, and fill our world with compassion until we meet again. As we go, let me remind you of something that's happening next week. We're going to have a shared potluck meal with Nefesh Soul, the Jewish congregation that rents space from us. They've invited a really special guest and author. Check out more about it on our website and the Sunday bulletin that you can pick up back there or get on the website. But lots of great stuff happening, including today at 1 p.m. Hope you'll be back for the forum with Roy and a couple of other special guests. Well, now may life bless you and keep you. May the Spirit make its face to shine on you and be gracious unto you. May the universe pour out the fullness of its blessings on you and bring you peace. Go in peace, dear friends. Amen.